Winterween has arrived and it's time to show you what I think my TBR is going to be. Welcome back to Reading Sprints and Chai Sips. I am Sasha Bonet, and this will be, I believe, my second Winterween. If you don't know what Winterween is hosted by Gabby Reads, and she does this now weekly read-a-thon. So it starts today on the 9th and ends on the 15th. And you bring the spooky, the thriller, the mystery into winter, into summer, and you have a great time doing it. There's 5 reading prompts. You can use as many or the least amount of books that you need to complete the prompts. It's all up to you, and the reading prompts are they're not set in stone. They're a little wobbly for the person participating. And I have grown to enjoy participating in this read-a-thon. So let me show you what I'm thinking. So the first reading prompt is always to read a book at night or in the dark, which can be used for any book. So I'm not going to pick a book for that, right? We're not going to pick a book for that because any one of the books that I've chosen for this TBR can fit that. Prompt 2 is to read a thriller or horror book, which I believe all of my books that I have chosen for this TBR should accomplish as well. The third prompt is to read a book with blood on the cover or red on the cover. Either one would suffice, and I have, I think, 1 or 2 of those. So the fourth prompt is to read a book with vampires or, I guess, paranormal. So werewolves, witches, anything else that's paranormal. And what's crazy is I just finished reading Immortal Dark, which had vampires in it, but it's not a thriller or horror, but it doesn't have to be for this prompt. It just says to read a book with vampires and paranormal. So that would have sufficed. However, I think I might have something for this anyway. And the fifth and final prompt is to read a 2025 release that you never got around to, and I have a million of those on this shelf. So let me show you what I'm thinking about for this TBR. And it's sad that Winterween is already here and I don't have a set TBR, but let's go through them. So first is Conjure Woman by Afia Adakora, and Conjure Women, it's giving witches, it's giving magic. So it says, this gorgeously written novel brings history vividly to life as it tells the story of 3 remarkable women. Miss May Bell is a wise midwife believed to be gifted at both healing and the conjuring of mysterious curses. That's all I need to know. Mysterious curses. That's paranormal. So I'm thinking of Conjure Women for paranormal. Next, I'm thinking of The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. There's blood on the cover, and this is a thriller. The breakout thriller that has shocked millions of readers around the world. All I know about this one is basically that a husband, I don't know anything about this book, but I believe it's a husband cheats on his wife, and then the woman that he's cheating with ends up dying. And the wife is a lawyer, and she has to get him off for that murder because it also affects her. Because if it wasn't him, then it could also have been her. So she has to clear both of their names. I don't know, but the petty part of me would take us both down. I don't know why, but we'll see. I also have this little one, The Black Vampire, A Legend of St. Domingo, 1819. First time ever in paperback by Uriah Derek Darcy. And obviously The Black Vampire, so we'll see. So don't mind my highly curved cover. But the next one is Fall of the Order by JC. It's a paranormal thriller, and I believe it's an agency or an order that defends against the undead, I think. Here is just a thriller, a recently purchased thriller that I got from thrifting from Goodwill. And this is Megan Miranda's The Last House Guest. Never read a Megan Miranda, so I was thinking maybe this is the time. Also, one of us Nose by Alyssa Cole. I have never said this on this channel, I don't think. Maybe I have. But I do not like Alyssa Cole's writing. I don't. But I got this in a book box. Read It Again. I ordered a mystery book box from them, and it was a mystery. Every book in there was a mystery. So I got this. This is what I received. And because I haven't liked her in the past does not mean I will never like her in the future. So I'm going to give this a go. It says, years after a breakdown and a diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder. Already I'm not liking that. Derailed her historical preservationist career, Kenetria Nash and her alters have been given a second chance they can't refuse. A position as resident caretaker of a historic home. I'm gonna leave it at that. So let's hope this is good. And that Alyssa Cole book is just for thriller as well. Secluded Cabin, Sleep 6 by Lisa Unger. And no, I did not get this book from Target. I got it thrifting as well. 3 couples rent a luxury cabin in the woods for a weekend getaway to die for. I am all for that. This one also is just a thriller. I mean, it could be horror because dying is horrific, but it's just a thriller. But I'm excited to read this one too. I think this would be kind of popcorn horror. Quickly digest it, have a great time, and be done. Now, for those 2025 books that I never got around to, we have The Memory Collectors by Deep Messerve, but I know a group of people get a chance to relive the day that changed their lives, but something goes awry, and this is a sci-fi mystery thriller, 2025, and I want to dive into this because I want to see if this is up my alley when it comes to sci-fi, especially since it says to be close to Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister, and I like that one, so we'll see. But then I also have You Are Fatally Invited by Andy Pliego. And never read it, Andy Pliego. I don't know if this is a debut or not, but we'll see. But this one as well. And also it can go for the red cover just in case I don't like the other ones. As always, the horror for this could also come from a manga. So I just also bought this one today. I had a lot of credit at Second and Charles, so I went in to specifically get this book because these books are hard to come by. Death Note Black Editions, Volume 5. There's not much horror aspect on my list for this read-a-thon, but this is categorized as horror, and so is The Fall of the Order. So it's characterized as a thriller, horror thriller, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, but I might change my mind. Mind you, these all cannot cover those prompts. At the most, all I need is 5 books if I wanted to do each prompt individually, but we'll see because I am still not bound to this TBR, and I don't know why, but it doesn't matter because Winterween has already begun. Let's start reading. So I started with The Memory Collectors. Let me tell you now a little bit more about this, but I got 58 pages in, so that much. Okay, so this involves, I believe, just 4 characters, 2 women, 2 men, and there is a program called the Eon Flux, no, called Eon Industries or something like that, and it deals with people going into the past for 60 minutes. So you pay an exorbitant amount. I don't think they said how much it was, but you pay an exorbitant amount and you get to go back 60 minutes in the past. And like one of the characters in here kind of says, like, some people think that the moment they would get 60 minutes in the past, the first thing they would do is like go for Hitler or something like that. And they were like, no, most people want to visit someone that they've lost. And I could get that. Being a person who, I think the biggest person that I lost ever in life was my mother, right? But even reading these first 4 chapters of this book, I don't think I would visit with my mother for an hour. And I'm going to tell you why. That might be like a shocker because it's only 60 minutes. You would go back in time, you would spend 60 minutes, and in that 60 minutes, you are not who you were then. You are 100% who you are now. So, yes, you are relishing in what you could have, should have relished in then, but it's something that you can't take with you, right? You can't bring that to the future. You can bring that the fact that you saw them again, that you spoke to them again, but they have no idea that they're gone, you're gone, or whoever is gone, right? Or that life has changed. They only know it as the present moment. So, and mind you, when you go back to the future, now you're sad all over again. Like you're reliving that grief or whatever it is, like it's happened again for the first time. I think that's very painful. And I would like to think I would want to avoid that. But also I think I wouldn't pay an exorbitant amount for 60 minutes because in all honesty, if I had just had 60 minutes, I would spend my 60 minutes just holding the person. You know what I mean? So that is what it is. Those are my thoughts. But our 4 characters, right? So you have one character whose son, I believe, died in a car crash, or he died in an accident on a highway. The second person, Andy, our character Andy, he knew this woman for 5 minutes, but I'm guessing because he knew her for 5 minutes, 5 days. Oh my gosh. That's how you know I find his story to be unserious. But anyway, he knew this woman for 5 days, but the moment he met her on day 1, he knew he kind of wanted to be with her. And that's the time frame that he goes back to. The first one who lost her son to, like, he was hit by a car on the highway, she doesn't go back to the moment that she lost him. She goes back to when he was still a little boy playing with Transformers. Andy goes back 5 days before he met the girl for the first time. So he went back to the 5 days before, and that woman doesn't know him. Then you have the other one. Oh no, it's the guy. Okay, so then you have the guy who used to climb mountains. He's paralyzed. He's in a wheelchair. Then you have, so he goes back to climbing mountains. Then you have the other woman in our other FMC in our story, where she goes back to a time before she killed people. Now, mind you, all 4 of our main characters, you can already tell where this is going because all 4 of our main characters have been sent back to August 20th. And that's why it's a little iffy. And they only get an hour. I told you they only get 60 minutes. However, each one of them have realized in this time exchange or going back in time that while they're in their jump, they're all there for more than 60 minutes. So they are all happy about that. But I'm suspicious, obviously. And 2 of our characters were told that they could not do a jump. They were denied and got one anyway. Usually no one, once you're denied, you're denied. You can't even try to fight that. So 2 of them were denied prior to getting allowed to jump, so that's suspicious. The August 20th date is suspicious, and it seems like in one of our stories, or 2, I think it was 2 of our 2 of our chapters, we've already seen that 2 of these characters are intersected, but I think all 4 are intersected, but we'll see, because the guy who went back before he met that girl, why would I go back to before I met her instead of in them 5 days that I actually did meet her? Makes no sense, but I'll come back with more. So The Memory Collectors by D. Meserve, I finished it. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. The voice of the author was very loud in this book. You can't go back to the past, or even when you can, live and revel in the present, and you only get one life, so you should live it. All of those cliche think pieces is what the voice of this book is. And there were 4 POVs, and I still say Andy's POV was a little bit, you knew that lady for 5 days. And yes, a person that you meet in 5 days, I do believe can make a big impact on you. But you knew that woman for 5 days, and turns out you didn't really know her at all, right? So I think if we would have ixnayed Andy and put somebody else in there who really had some real good shit going on, we could have got a better story with that storyline. But it was okay. It really wasn't about the sci-fi. Like, yes, the sci-fi is that they've created something that can go back to the past. But can we talk about the real epidemic of meddling individuals? Because the man that created this is married to one of our main characters, and he really, really, really wanted to relive his days with his son through his wife, because him and his wife got divorced after the son died. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm giving it 3 stars. It was okay. It was okay. But that book checks off a book that I wanted to read in 2025 off my TBR that I never got to. So we have one down. Now let's get to the thriller soaked in red and blood. The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I have been wanting to read this book for a long periodically time now, because Geneva Rose popped up on my TikTok twirling and doing ballerina moves and trying to squat when she was pregnant in bookstores, thinking she was covertly signing her her books. I thought she was the cutest little thing, and that's what made me want to read her book. So I got it. It's time to read it. Let's see how that goes. Also, it is day 1 of Winterween. How are you doing? What are you doing? What did you read? Let me know down in the comments. But you might be thinking, if it's day 1, how did you already finish this book? Well, I'm usually up really late, right? So I recorded the intro a while ago, but the 4 chapters of The Memory Collectors I read at midnight. I am a late in the evening kind of person. Let's 24 in this book. So let me tell you what this book is about in the 24 pages that I read. Like I said before, it's basically a husband and wife who, from the very beginning, one was going to be more into their work than the other one. You have the husband who is an author, and then you have the wife who is a lawyer, and she's deep in the trenches with her work. Nothing can get her away from that office when she's in it. When they call her for a deposition, when they call her for anything having to do with her being a lawyer, she's there, no questions asked. It doesn't matter about, holidays, anniversaries, important dates to family, husband, it does not matter. Her work is all that matters to her, even though she married a man. She's married to that job. And the husband now feels emasculated, his own words, because there are 2 POVs, because she makes the most money. The gift that she bought him was hella expensive, and he's been looking at this watch for like 3 years. And on their anniversary, he's like, okay, let's go to our home, our second home. And she's like, gotta work. We go to his POV. He's there writing, and someone opens the door. It is another woman. So he's cheating, and he's been cheating for a while. And the woman that he's cheating with is also married. I will say, for the most part, he is smart enough to date a person that has just as much to lose, because in his chapter, she asks him, when will you ever tell your wife about us? Because at first I was like, oh, this woman probably doesn't know. No, she knows, because his wife texts him while she's at work, and she picks up the phone and goes, your wife texts you. So she knows that they're married, and he knows that she's married. So how does she end up dead? I don't know. We will have to find that out. Am I intrigued so far? No, because I don't think that man needed a POV. But we'll see if his POV is necessary. We'll see. Yeah, I'm hungry. I haven't had breakfast yet, and I just came out the gym, and it's 1:15. I haven't had breakfast or lunch, so it's time to eat. It's time for that. So you guys, I have finished The Perfect Marriage. I didn't know I knew what to expect, and it seemed like that this book hit the beats of where this was going. And after I finished reading this, I actually looked at someone's Goodread review, and it made me laugh because it said this book was unbelievable. And not in a good way or a bad way. It was just like they had to suspend their belief on so many things. And I was talking to someone about this book after I finished it without trying to give anything away. And I was just like, maybe 20 years ago, we could say something was unbelievable. But the way the world is turning now, the way everything that's being done and said, and the way business practices work, and is anything really unbelievable? Are people in the world right now suspending their belief with the way the world is going? If you're suspending belief, you are delusional because the world is actually going in the way that it's going, right? So even though as I was reading this book, I was like, can that happen? I had to even Google, right? Because Google is free. I Googled, can a wife defend her husband? Yes, they can. And it's whether or not, usually it's in something civil. Like, say, like if the husband is being sued for doing something in business or even whatever. But never really is it done that a wife defends her husband who is on trial for murdering his mistress. So, and it's not that it's not done. It is a conflict of interest, especially if you are not the head of your own law firm. Most law firms, in my opinion, would never allow that to happen. Like, you would have to do that on your own time. Like, you're not taking company hours to defend your lying ass, cheating ass husband, right? So that will be up to you. Take a leave and you can go do that, because that will never be like something I want under my under my business. So I get it. But it is something that is very legal to do. The sheriff's department it seems like they're bumbling idiots. They aren't. They're just underhanded. Which again is not suspending your belief. I think maybe it's a lot going on in this book. Okay, so I told you this book is about a lawyer and a writer who are married. The writer, he steps out on his wife. He has a mistress, and that mistress ends up dead. However, he does not find out that the mistress is dead until they come knocking at his door. And his wife doesn't find out that her husband has a mistress until his mother calls her and says, why the hell is my son in jail? Go get him. This book, I'm going to give it a 3.75. And I'm going to tell you why. Because even though I felt this book was diabolically funny at parts, I knew little pieces. Like, this book gives you breadcrumbs along the way. But you get the breadcrumbs because of who the narrators are. This is dual POV. It's the wife and the husband. In all honesty, I think we could have did without the husband's POV. That's just me. I didn't like his POV. It's nothing that he brought to the story except for misogyny, misplaced anger, because you cheated on me and you're angry that I'm not doing my best. What? Be so for real. But yeah, so we didn't need his point of view. I don't think there was one POV where we needed his point of view, except for maybe just to see that we know for a fact. And that's the thing. You go into this knowing that the husband did not kill his mistress, right? But was he still involved? Just because he didn't kill her doesn't mean he wasn't involved. I enjoyed this book, but the 3.75 is because I did not care for the husband, nor did I care for the wife, nor did I give a damn about anybody in this book. I could care less either way while I was reading this, who their relationship or their outward relationships. Because in the midst of this book, the husband starts kissing on the reporter, and when you get there, or if you haven't read this and you get there, you tell me what you think below. But if you have read this, when the husband started kissing the reporter, did you not think, what the hell is going on? Are we about to start cheating again? Are we? And Geneva Rose gives you so many breadcrumbs, so many red herrings, And sometimes they are red herrings at first, and then they turn out not to be. And sometimes you're like, because you did it once, you'll do it again, and it's not that. So I do commend her in writing this. It was enjoyable, except for the characters. The characters were not likable enough. Like, and yes, you can have unlikable characters, but in a situation of a whodunit, I have to feel for someone, and there was no one in this book worth feeling something for. No one had a likable personality, and you are steady wanting to point your finger at all of them. So at that point, the way I go about things is I don't care at that point. So at 3.75, that's the best I could do, but I did enjoy this. It is going to be kept. I will be reading The Perfect Divorce. I don't own it right now, but I will be reading that. But this was my first Geneva Rose, and because I finished this book, we can check off a book with red or blood on the cover. I did that. We can also check off a thriller, and we can move on to the next book. If you don't know, my favorite color is purple. Purple. Headphones, purple. Phone, purple. But the next book that I chose, let's hope that I like it. Fall of the Order by J.C. I've never read. Again, all three of these authors are new to me authors. So there's that. But J.C., never heard of them because I don't know who J.C. is. But it says, a cursed immortal battles his demons and the nefarious beings of the living dead once his whereabouts are discovered, igniting a war against all of mankind in this spine-tingling supernatural thriller. Now, I have already just read the first 4 pages, which is the prologue, and this book is basically likens against vampires. So it does hit the prompt of read a book with vampires or anything else, because they're both in here, vampires and werewolves. And we're gonna read this well, it is nighttime now, so we'll be reading this at night. If I finish this, that's it. That we've hit every prompt. I'm going to reread the prologue because it had a lot of information in 4 pages. The werewolves at one point were slaves to the vampires, and they had an uprising and brought the vampires almost to extinction, and the werewolves then escaped and went to live in all over the world, and started to breed with humans, and they had hybrids. But let's get into it. So it is 3 hours, almost 3 hours after after reading Sprints. The first one of the year is up. I still have some admin to do for that, but other than that, Sprints are done. And during Sprints, I read One of Us Knows by Alyssa Cole. I got 50% in, and if you don't know, I am not a fan of mental health being used as a plot device in books. Not a fan of it. And one of the biggest reasons is, I think, is a cop-out, especially things like amnesia, memory loss, DID. DID is a big one, and Alyssa Cole is using DID. And I'm not saying that she's doing it inappropriately or she hasn't done her research, because from the 3 books that I've already read by Alyssa Cole, she can write. That's not the problem in this. Yes, she can definitely write. It is how and what she chooses to write about and the ways that she chooses to write about them. That's what it is. And I'm not a fan. But I was telling everyone that was on Sprints, or whoever was on Sprints, when I was talking about this book was this book is not entertaining to me, and anything and everything that you read should entertain you specifically, whether it's romance, right? So if it's romance and you like the relationship, you like their love, if I'm not kicking my feet, it's not entertaining me. If I'm reading a thriller or a mystery and I'm not enthralled in the who done it and why they done it and the ways that you're weaving the story, it's not entertaining to me. This 50% in is not entertaining. However, I am nosy enough to want to know how it all ends. Could I look that up? Possibly, but it's not going to tell it to me in the way that it unfolds with the words that she uses. So I'm going to continue to read it, but unless this does something spectacular, no. It's a no for me. And this is not a book that I bought myself, because after reading the 3 books that I already read by Alyssa Cole, I already knew that she wasn't the author for me. And that's not a bad thing. Every author is not going to be your author. Every author, and even when they are your author, every author that writes doesn't mean every book you're going to love. Go figure. But after the 3rd book, I already knew that Alyssa Cole was just not for me. But this book came in the Read It Again book box, mystery book box. And I think I would have done myself a disservice if I had not tried it. So yeah, I'm trying it. And I know I have fun on sprints, and I didn't check what today's prompt for the Winterween is, so I'm going to check that in a second. But before I get to Fall of the Order by JC and we wrap this video up, I just thought, because 3 books was just not enough for me, I thought I'd read this as a thriller. And it is a thriller. Nothing thrilling has happened yet, and we're 50% in. But like I said, we'll see. And when I come back, we should be wrapping up Winterween. So did I tell you? I think I did, but I put on my IG what 3 books, right, I should read, and the poll not unanimously, 75% of the poll said to read One of Us Knows by Alyssa Cole. This book is about a woman who has DID, dissociative identity disorder. She has several alters, some being as young as 4, men as old as like 66, 67, and she wakes up in her body and realizes she's at the dock, and a job, like she's there to be picked up for a job. I am not going to go any further into this book. I just did not like it. I did not like it. I am going to give this book 1 star. I didn't like anything about this. And it's not the DID. I already said multiple times that I do not like books that use mental health as a plot device. To me, it's a cheap shot, right? Because a person with DID is an easy way for you as an author to not have to really do the work. Because us as the readers, right, we don't know who is the host. You might think person A is the host when it's person G who's the host the whole time. You might think an alter is bad when they're really not. You see what I'm saying? And why does a person with a mental health disorder or a mental health illness need to be portrayed as not good or not bad or any? It rubs me the wrong way, and I didn't like it. And I'm gonna give this 1 star. I do not recommend. If you like it, I like it for you, but I didn't. And this is the 4th book I've read by Alyssa Cole that I did not like. So this author just is not for me. Next, we're gonna go into Fall of the Order by JC. I finished this, and I read this in the dark at night, just as well as I just finished this one. And it's after 6 p.m. What time is it? It's 7:14 at night, so it's nighttime. I did finish this a few minutes ago. Yeah, so I finished this, and I did not enjoy this book either. It did have vampires, witches, werewolves, voodoo priestess. It had flesh eaters, it had all types of monsters. It kind of ended the way Jeepers Creepers does, the first one, the first Jeepers Creepers. Think of that ending scene where Jeepers, right? Big Jeep takes her brother from the police station and flies into the night. Think of that scene. This gives that at the end, but to me, this book is Blade, it's Underworld, it's a little bit of Twilight. It has so many things involved in it, which could have made it good. And like I said before, the prologue is your world building. That's the prologue. That's all you get. You get about 3 pages of world building, and then chapter 1 to the last page is on go. It's action, 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 action. There's a love story in here. I didn't care. People are dying. There's so many characters that sometimes you can't keep up. A nefarious entity called the Order, who is kind of tracking and keeping these paranormal entities under their thumb in a way. They're experimenting. It's a lot going on in this book. And after reading this, I do believe there should be a part 2. I wouldn't be reading it, but there should be, because it ended like there would be. This came out in 2024. It's only 2026. JC can still come out with another book. If you are looking for if you like action with no character development really, and I don't even think there really was a plot, because Jeff Ferrari, and that name blew me, but Jeff Ferrari becoming the monster also made me mad, because I don't think he should have. Like, yes, he is technically a hybrid monster made to take down everybody. Not made to take down, but genetically, right? He was just born to be able to do so many things, but turning into a beast should not, like an uncontrollable, no remorse having beast, just wasn't on my bingo card for this book. This was not my cup of tea either. I think I'm going to leave off with this book getting a 2. So with this being our TBR for this video, we have officially completed every single prompt. And yeah, I can't wait to participate in Summerween. But I finished this prompt in 3. I added a 4th book. Gabby makes it really easy to participate in the way that you want to participate, as long as you participate and have fun. And I did have fun. I realized, again, I don't think a reading journey ever really concludes, right? I figured out, even though I like vampires, I don't like an action-packed story from beginning to end. I also realized that there's an author that I don't want to ever read from. I also realized that I don't like my authors to have such a loud voice in the writing. I want the characters' voices to speak louder than the author's voice, if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments. If you get what I'm saying, right? Put it in the comments. And I realized that even though Geneva Rose is not, she hasn't written the best of all time, 100%, this is the best thriller ever, it was good. It was entertaining. So I've learned a lot. Let me know if you agree with any of my ratings, and have you read any of the books that I read for Winterween? Let me know. If you made it this far into the video, put a drop of blood. Just put this right here. Put this right here in the comments to let me know you made it this far. And I will definitely see you in the next one. Bye.